Republican Conference. Johnson, age 51, became the Republicans' fourth nominee for the Speaker late last night after Tom Emmer of Minnesota withdrew after opposition from right-wing Republicans influenced by former President Donald Trump. One of the reasons that opposition arose to Emmer was he voted to certify the 2020 election. Representatives Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan also withdrew in recent days in their bids to become Speaker because they could not secure enough votes to win in the House Republican Conference. Congressional correspondent Scott McFarland is on Capitol Hill. Scott, history may record this as the consensus of the exhausted. Republicans have been through this over and over and over again, and now they've landed on a new Speaker. What can you tell our audience about Mike Johnson of the 4th District of Louisiana?
He's in his 4th term, a former talk radio host, a lower-ranking member of House Republican leadership, and as of 24 hours ago, not even a top vote-getter inside his own Republican conference to be the nominee. Mike Johnson, as you said, also voted to decertify the 2020 election won by Joe Biden. The person who was the nominee as of this time yesterday, Tom Emmer, voted to certify that election. The conference has...
Dân biểu Mike Johnson, đại diện ở Louisiana, khu vực 4, ông đã được đủ số phiếu là 220 để vào Chủ tịch Quốc hội của Chủ tịch của Hạ viện Hoa Kỳ. Bên ông Jeffrey thì có 206 à. Thì chỉ bầu một lần thôi là đã được liền. Ông này cũng đã từng là một cái đội luật sư để mà cãi cho Tổng thống Trump đó. Thì đây là một người cũng được đó. Nếu mà đứng về bên Tổng thống Trump thì là cũng được. Chỉ bầu một lần mà cái số phiếu là Đảng Cộng Hòa là 221. Nhưng mà ông được 220 là quá, một lần vậy là quá hay rồi. Thì đây là Quốc hội bắt đầu sẽ làm việc lại với Đảng Cộng Hòa. Thì ông này tương đối không có đến nổi tệ. Để chờ xem, ông này nó có 50 mấy tuổi à.
Pivoted to Mike Johnson, who just ran the table inside a fractious Republican conference, which right now has been defined by bad blood amassed over the past 3 weeks. You watched history, and this has never happened before. A speaker's never been voted out by his own party. That's what happened 3 weeks ago with Kevin McCarthy. And you saw them come together on a series of nominees between then and now. Steve Scalise, the majority leader, tried it, didn't get the votes. Jim Jordan, the judiciary chair from Ohio, went to the floor 3 times, couldn't get the votes. Tom Emmer had the nomination for 4 hours and bailed out, couldn't get the votes. Mike Johnson just now got the necessary votes, swept his own party. This typically happens still once every 2 years, Major. It's happened nearly 20 times this year, and it has concluded.
We'll give you, our audience, a little bit more on Mike Johnson of Louisiana. Let's look at some of the aspects of his most recent voting record. You can see there, he voted against, as Scott McFarland just said, certifying the 2020 presidential election. He voted against legalizing same-sex marriage. He voted against a Ukraine aid package in May of this year, opposed the most recent continuing resolution in September to keep the government opening, and he was part of the legal team that defended former President Trump in the first impeachment hearing and trial in the Senate about issues related to Ukraine. I want to bring in CBS News Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa. Robert, that is to say, Mike Johnson has never been a committee chairman. He's never been a subcommittee chairman. He is a backbencher for a House Republican conference that quite clearly and evidently was a backbencher, someone who is less experienced than those who sought the position and could not secure the votes to hold it.
That's exactly right, Major. And to really understand why Mike Johnson of Louisiana...
Mike Johnson đi bầu ở trong Hạ viện là cũng giống như chính sách Tổng thống Trump vậy. Những cái gì Tổng thống Trump mà đưa ra đó thì ông bầu giống như vậy. Thì tương đối là cũng được rồi đó.
This Republican most people in the country didn't know about a few minutes ago is now Speaker of the House in the line of succession to the presidency. Let's look at a picture from last night of Congressman Johnson, now Speaker Johnson, surrounded by his colleagues, because this picture really tells you about why Johnson got this role. See, behind Johnson's Elise Stefanik, the conference chair. You have Steve Scalise over his shoulder as well, the majority leader. They're the leadership, but who do you see tightly packed around him? The backbenchers, as Major Garrett just said. It's the backbenchers who elevated him. Those congressmen and women who you don't know about. They're looking for someone to break up the leadership, someone new to come in, and someone who echoes former President Trump's politics in many ways. And this is someone who hosts a podcast
that where he talks about his Christian evangelical values with many members of Congress. He's well known inside the House, not outside the House, and he's someone who's kept a low profile on television, but he's well known as almost a conservative figure rising through the policy ranks in the House. So he has that foundation of relationships, even if he doesn't have the political capital, which is going to be very important, as you know, Major, facing him right now, real challenges, how to fund support for Ukraine and Israel, as well as government funding.
And just for our audience's benefit, Robert, you know this well. I want you to help them walk through this. He will be the speaker at the top, the apex of power in the House of Representatives. But all the other Republican superstructure remains. Steve Scalise will still be the majority leader. Tom Emmer will still be the House Majority Whip.
The sheriff's wife's the
meaning those people who sought this position will now be beneath him, and they will have to offer their support, their guidance, their floor capabilities, their legislative capabilities to this newly minted speaker. So he will be reliant, that is to say, Mike Johnson, on people he's just bested for this coveted position.
And we will see if they can keep a united front, because you now have a new speaker who believes, certainly based on my conversations with his colleagues over the past 24 hours, that he does have power now, and he wants to use it. Speaker Johnson's already issued his own letters about his agenda in terms of how he wants to handle appropriations.